Hello and welcome to another episode of Digital Brand Building with Bunjy. Every week, we speak to startups and entrepreneurs across the country to learn their journey and understand what it takes to build your own personal brand. This week's episode, we're talking to Harshita, founder of Dough Dough Deli, a Chennai-based cloud kitchen that specializes in fusion cuisine and New York-based deli-style comfort food. Harshita, thank you so much for joining us. To start off,
Hi.
if you could start off by telling us where the idea for Dough Dough Deli came from and the story behind your brand.
We actually were named the Saute Couture before we were named Dodo Deli. That was when I used to work from my home kitchen before I went commercial. I actually had to rebrand due to multiple reasons. Like the name was really complicated for people to catch and understand, and I realized that was hindering the word of mouth because if they liked the food, they couldn't pronounce the name of the brand. And so I decided, okay, it was time to rebrand. And then when I was thinking of names, I realized Dodo Deli is perfect because I we try and make everything from scratch, be it the bread, be it the puff pastry, be it anything. We try and make everything from scratch, and it made me realize that everything that we make essentially comes from a dough or a batter, or so I felt like it was just, and I love an alliteration. I just love Dodo Deli.
Yeah.
So, and then I realized the kind of food I end up making is also very wholesome, is very Delhi style food. It's very comforting. So I just thought, okay, I'll just go with a name that's catchy for once and step aside from a complicated name and easy to remember, basically.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit about the kind of food apart? You mentioned, everything starts with a dough base. Can you tell us a little bit about the different kind of cuisines or like the fusion cuisine that you specialize in?
We love doing fusion cuisine. So I would make burgers, but I'll probably include Asian flavors in it. I'll probably do like a Mexican cuisine, but I'll just add like a hint of Indian in it. So we love doing fusion cuisine. That of course that makes sense and that's also acceptable in the culinary world. But for example, we started off with just sandwiches on our Swiggy. We are on Swiggy. And then we started doing weekly menus where we were like, okay, I'm gonna because people wanted more. They were like, okay, this is just sandwiches, but we want to try more of your food. We used to do gourmetish food when it came to events and exhibitions and stuff like that. But since that kind of stopped, we started doing weekly menus on our Instagram, and that's when we started doing homemade pasta. So we make our pasta dough, we make our pasta from scratch, we make our burger buns, we make brioche burger buns, and we also make gnocchi and stuff like that. So everything we make from scratch, and the weekly menus are more gourmet. They're not as wholesome and not as deli style food, but they're global cuisine nonetheless. So sorry.
So then how did you decide to, instead of starting like a regular open a restaurant or a cafe or something, when did you decide to,
Yeah.
take this to Instagram or the online space and create like a cloud kitchen or get your orders, via the internet?
It's actually still a kind of goal of mine to open like a small cafe. It's always been, but I did not realize when I decided that okay, I want to do this for a living, that it would take so much of an investment. It's a lot of financial commitment. So I thought, okay, maybe I used to work from my home kitchen where I had no expenses whatsoever. So I thought, okay, that would be a small step in the course of opening a cafe to do like to start like a cloud kitchen. uh, Once I started is when I realized the trend is actually of cloud kitchens and not so much of cafes. Yes, there are a lot of cafes that are doing well, but I feel like that's something that's a bit old school. um, Cloud kitchens are doing extremely well right now, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time because it's really picking up. So maybe in the future I might open a cafe. I don't know, but this is very self-sufficient the way it is. So
So, like you mentioned, also, the cloud kitchens are kind of in trend right now. And in terms of market space, in terms of just Chennai or even across the country, there are so many people running cloud kitchens and even
yeah,
just using their Instagram pages for food delivery. So, what is
yeah.
your secret sauce to kind of differentiate yourself from everyone else out there in the market?
I honestly found like my USP during the lockdown, during when COVID hit. So I was in commercially in business a year before that. So it had been a year, and then the lockdown happened, and so when that happened, I kind of was wondering how do I pick myself back, because I'd spent an entire year just building customer base, client base, and then I was so scared because nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew if people would eat outside again. Nobody knew if they would, because also everybody was cooking at home and everybody was doing it so well that would they find the need to eat from outside again? Like it was so daunting. That is when I decided that I'm going to put up the weekly menus. I never did weekly menus before that, and those have been my USP. And I feel like, in my knowledge, I don't think a lot of cloud kitchens do like a weekly special menu. A lot of catering
Mm.
units probably do, saying this is the menu for the day, but maybe not for the week. So I feel like that's something wanting to do the same thing, and that's amazing, because I feel like when there's a menu for the week, you plan your weekend accordingly. You plan the birthday that week accordingly, and you're like, okay, this cloud kitchen that I like is doing this week, and I love that. I love their food. So, and we have a birthday that week, so let's plan it accordingly. And I feel like that does really well, because now the impulse consumer nature has reduced a little bit. People like planning, people like deciding, and that works in my favor.
So I remember reading one of your earlier interviews. I think it was with the Indian Express, where you said YouTube was one of your mentors, and you used to watch, Nigella Lawson and Jamie Oliver and all these
Yeah.
famous cooks online. So if you could tell me if you remember, what were some of the first recipes you tried out from watching a YouTube video?
I was majorly into Italian cooking. Like I loved that it was so wholesome, and I loved that it was so simple, and it gave us something so fulfilling. So I dove right into Italian cuisine in the beginning when I was learning on YouTube, and when I was experimenting at home. So the first few recipes that I learned was the arrabbiata sauce, and I learned how to do it the right way. And I also did learn the homemade pasta dough recipe, and I kept experimenting with that as well. Right now, even though I started off with being big on Italian, I do a lot of Asian cuisine now. I do a lot of Thai, I do a lot of Korean, I do a lot of Asian cuisine right now.
Nice. So, given that YouTube was such a huge influence for you, what are your thoughts on how internet and digital marketing has kind of shaped or like boosted the food scene in India?
It's majorly boosted it, because this is just one aspect of me learning so much from the internet. But even as a business, I'm just sometimes really shocked and pleasantly surprised at the kind of interaction people have on Instagram, especially. For example, for me, Instagram works perfectly fine. The engagement is amazing, and I meet new customers on Instagram. They don't want to know my phone number. They are very happy talking to me in the DMs. They think it's fine, and I love that people have become so open-minded, and they make the payments. I mean, I give them my GPay on Instagram, and they trust the process. So people are so comfortable talking to me over DMs, and they don't want the traditional old school way of, hey, can I please call you up? Yes, of course, there are some people comfortable with that, and I don't blame them. But a majority of the crowd, no age as their limitations. They don't mind talking over Instagram. Also, that's because I feel like it's such a visual treat. Looking at pictures, looking at videos, it's so aesthetic. So I feel like that works in favor of every small business putting up the right kind of pictures and videos, because people just understand what the product is from pictures and videos, and they know that that's what they're going to get. So I feel like it's playing such an important role. Like today, if I didn't have the internet and the digital media, I would honestly be lost.
So, given that you said you most of your interaction with your customers happens over Instagram, and that's how you meet your new customers as well. And Instagram has helped you out so much. And I've taken a look at your Instagram page as well. It is amazing. The food is just mouth-watering, and like you said, the aesthetics play such an important role. How do you go about planning your social media content?
I'll be very honest. I'm a very impulsive poster on Instagram. So if I'm working in the kitchen and I just take a video and I think that, oh, this is nice and my customers would like to know the BTS of how their food is made, I just post it. So I'm very, very impulsive with it. It might not be the best when it comes to having a business strategy, because I feel like there are a few days a week the posts do well compared to say a Monday or a Sunday. Maybe on a Wednesday or Friday they do really well, and that's something I need to probably target and schedule posts, but I don't do that as yet. At least I'm very impulsive with what I post.
Is there anything that you found in your interactions, like how you mentioned on Mondays and Sundays the engagement tends to be slower than the other days? Have you found out a pattern in terms of what it is that your customers like to see on your Instagram page, and do you do anything to kind of fulfill that need?
Yeah, one thing I realized, and it's not something I always knew, I realized through the journey, is that especially when it's food, keep the posts about the food, purely and naturally about the food. Avoid infographics on the post. Keep a separate, completely separate posts for your information and for your pricing and for the text. Keep a separate post, but when you're selling food, let most of the posts be just about food. It's not that complicated. People will understand what it is, and if they don't, they will message you, they will ask you, and that's good for your page, because that increases interaction, that increases your algorithm. Like, people are crazy about the algorithm right now. That increases your algorithm, so it's good for you. So keep the post just about food. Reduce the infographics, because I feel like that doesn't sell. If there's too much text, I don't want to read text when I want to order food. That's for Swiggy, that's for Zomato, that's for those platforms, not for your Instagram.
Did COVID-19 and the lockdown have any kind of impact on business? Did you face any challenges? And if you did, how did you?
I definitely faced challenges mentally, because I was really uncertain of what's going to happen. Like I said, it's been just a year for me taking my business commercial. Other than that, it was actually a huge advantage for me, because I found my calling. I understand it was a very difficult time for most small businesses. It was a difficult time for us in terms of staff, and like they desperately wanted their jobs back, and I couldn't afford the same number of people, but I had to keep them, because you never know. I had no idea if business was picking up or it was reducing. So if I didn't have enough people, so in terms of operations, it was extremely challenging. But when it came to finding my calling and finding my strong points, I used those 4 months very well, and I feel like I just found this niche of audience that click. I mean, they found me and I found them, and it's been continuing even now, and I feel like that's been organically increasing business for us.
That's wonderful to see something so good come out of the lockdown. I think that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So going into, we're almost in the second month of 2021, what plans do you have for Dough Dough Deli going forward?
We definitely want to expand our space and have like a small bakery, because like I said, we bake our own bread and we bake our own puff pastry and stuff like that. But we don't have the space to do it at a larger scale. And there are a few times where we outsource the puff pastry, because it's honestly a very tedious process. And to make, if the order is really big, we can't make the whole thing ourselves. So we want to eliminate outsourcing as much as we can, and make it ourselves. So I feel like we want to expand and have like separate bakery section for sure. And we definitely want to have like an outlet of sorts, because right now the most questions we get is, where can I pick up something that's ready? Because our order is just pre-orders. If you order today for say Saturday, we can keep it ready. We take pre-orders. But there are so many people who want to impulsively buy, and having like a small counter and a small like deli of sorts will really help, because a lot of people want to impulsively come, look at whatever's on the counter and take it and pick it up and go. So I feel like hopefully that should happen soon.
That's great. So we wish you all the very best for your dreams to open a little shop and cafe of your own. Is there anything else
Thank
to add?
That's it. It's just that small businesses really need customers to stick around, be loyal. I mean, we are doing our best. I hope we are doing our best, and I hope we. I speak for all the cloud kitchens and small cafes, because we really struggled during the lockdown, and I feel like the after effects are going to be there for a while. It's not going to go back to normal anytime soon. So I feel like if people are loyal and if they genuinely like our food, I feel like that will really help us and help us grow and put food that's amazing out there that some big establishments honestly just don't provide. They are known for their name, but yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us, Harshita.
Thank you so much.